Hello and welcome to Tuna Tuesday. Sorry it's a bit late, I've been having some major microphone issues. However, it is working now. So up first we have a race between me on the left in the NSX and, now I cannot pronounce your name, I apologise, Gaia Man, something like that, I hope, in the Mitsubishi Evo 10. Off the line, the NSX is the quicker of the two. I would hazard a guess that the Evo has been made rear-wheel drive. A four-wheel drive car is traditionally a lot faster off the line. So as we go up towards the Maggots and Beckets complex, I've already put out a fairly substantial lead, I have to say. I've taken out some bollards, never mind, ignore that, and somehow managed to get away with it. The damage on the cars is very weird with those bollards, I will point out, because at some point damage appears on my car in the replay, which I think I got from there, but it doesn't appear till late. It's really weird. The glitchy damage, especially on this NSX, it's a particularly weird one with those bollards. However, the Mitsubishi Evo, whereas the statistics gone on it, this car was having, well, this car's very hard to judge the top speed on it. It's got 414 horsepower, so it's quite a bit more powerful than mine. However, the guy who was running it, I believe, from what I've been seeing on the replay, was using manual gearbox. However, he wasn't changing down sort of particularly accurately, I think is probably the fairest way of saying it. So the top speed on this thing was very variable. It depends when he changed down. Coming onto the straight would depend on what sort of speed this car got to. I was seeing about 130 and sometimes more, but I would expect this car would probably be a little bit faster. As you can see, yeah, I had pulled out a fairly big lead. I'm not sure assist-wise. I'm guessing from the way it was braking, I would say it was running ABS. And yeah, he was losing quite a bit of time. You've got to change down gears sooner, man. Especially in a car like this that's highly turbocharged. I think it's got like 28 boost pressure, whatever. That's relatively high. You need to be changing down. You need to be sort of revving the nuts of the thing to get the best out of the turbos, because otherwise turbo lag is going to kill it and it just won't be going anywhere. So yes, as you can see, we're now on to lap number 2, and now the damage has appeared on my car. Well, it's blooming replays. It caused loads of problems this week with these dodgy, laggy replays. As you can see, yeah, I have now got the weird damage on the front of the NSX. This was actually the first time I've driven the NSX for a while, because yeah, I don't really practice in the week, and I'm still pretty pleased with this car. I might be putting it up on the FailRace storefront if people want to have a go with it, because I'm actually really quite proud of my sort of tuning ability. Anyway, as we come towards, I think this is the end of the second lap now. Yeah, I have a fairly big lead. The Evo was struggling. To be honest, I think a lot of time was lost just with the gearing. That's pretty much my best guess as to what was going on. You can see his gain tag on the side of the car. If you can pronounce it better than me, then please go ahead. You should know by now I can't pronounce stuff. It's just, yeah, I'm terrible like that. Anyway, after the 3 laps, it was a fairly straightforward win for the NSX. I'm going to do a little bit of showboating. I'm going to try and show off this car going sideways. It doesn't really do sideways very well, which is good. That's how I like a car. It shouldn't be going sideways if you're racing it. And so yeah, I can get a little bit sideways, but you really have to be deliberately making it do it. So there we go. That was a very straightforward first race, and there I am across the line. And I left this in here because this is what the AI decided to do. Normally the AI takes control of the car. Today it just forgot what it was doing and the car just went straight to the wall. So thank you, computer, for wrecking my car. The AI on here are confusing at times. And the Mitsubishi, that was quite a way behind. As I said, I suspect mostly to do with the turbo lag and not changing down the gears in time. And somewhere around here, I think the replay cuts off. There we go for a little bit of spin, and that's it. So we move on to the next race, and this is Daniel, who is racing in the Lotus Elise on the left against JDMR Takumi, who is on the right with a Datsun. Off the line, the Datsun is very fast. I would imagine it is 4-wheel drive. I should have looked at tyre temperatures. You can tell if a car's 4-wheel drive on telemetry if you look at how the tyres heat up. I would guess that thing's 4-wheel drive for that sort of launch. Daniel falls off the road in the background. Well done. The guy, I was talking to the guy beforehand over, he said he could try to get the lightest car. The Datsun is one of the lightest cars that is eligible for this competition. However, I think it suffers a little bit from being too light. It is actually possible, believe it or not, to have a car that is too light. The Lotus 11, if anybody's ever built one of them, they are incredibly hard to drive. If you put I think I built one to A-class just to have a mess about with. They are really hard to drive because they're so light. They weigh about £1,000. They're so light, and you can put quite a lot of power in them. They are, yeah, just impossible because of, yeah, you just can't keep control of the damn thing. Well, I'm sure some people can, but I was having real issues with it. Daniel's Lotus Elise, it is a very light car. However, it is a very quick car. I'm sure if you've seen it at the earlier videos where he raced against the NSX, yeah, this at least is, well, the fastest car we have, and he loves Silverstone, so no real surprise that he was going out in the lead. It's actually one of the least powerful cars we have, 225 horsepower, that's all, from an A600 car. However, it is so fast around the corner. Straight line speed, 141 is what this car gets to, as opposed to 146 in my NSX. So it's not too slow. It is a little bit slower accelerating. I haven't actually raced Daniel properly. However, in a straight line, we have driven these around another track, I think. Straight line speed, the NSX is the quicker of the two. The Datsun was well struggling and decided to make it a little bit of a drift session. There we go. That's quite impressive. Well done there. I'm not actually sure if this car isn't designed to be sort of drift car. I'm looking at the camber on the wheels and it looks like it's got more than, or at least more than I would normally race with. I know other people with different setups and everything on it. But yeah, I don't know. I can't decide on this car. But as you can see, it's fallen a fair way back from the Lotus. I quite like that intercooler sort of decal vinyl layer group, whatever you want to call it, the front of the car. That's quite a cool one. Anyway, as we come, I think this is on lap 2 now. We can't do lap 2. The Datsun tried its drifting again, and nope, you've fallen off the road that time. You didn't think I was going to include that, did you? Yeah, the Datsun was not as fast as the Lotus. To be fair, it is blooming hard. I can't keep up with Daniel in this damn Lotus around this track. Anyway, I think this is the final lap. Again, it was a fairly uneventful race, aside from a Datsun going sideways from time to time. Not a huge amount happened, and I can't remember the distance. The gap wasn't quite as big. Actually, yeah, I don't think it was quite as big as between me and the Evo, but it was a fairly straightforward win for the Lotus, and this time the AI doesn't go mental and decide to crash it into the wall. So there we go. The Datsun was, well, it wasn't going to win, so why not do some drifting? Again, I'm not really sure about this car, if it was designed to be drifting. I also think it, like, through here, that's what makes it think it's four-wheel drive, because I don't think a rear-wheel drive car you'd be able to save that. Or maybe he's not using simulation steering. I don't know. But there we go. That is pretty much the end of this race. We're not quite going to make it to the finish line, and the tyres on that thing won't be particularly happy either. Again, I don't actually know the weight on this car, but I'm sure anyone who's built a Datsun will know how stupidly light they can be. We move on to the final race. Yes, there are 3 races for you this week. This was the first of the challenge races, in which I had to buy a car from the auction house. Now, ignore the laggy Clio at the start there. There are some real problems with lag on this replay. It only happens for about the first lap. After that, it kind of calms down. I hate Forza Motorsport servers, internet connection is terrible. As you can see, the Clio is jumping all over the place. Anyway, this time it is me who is driving the Plymouth Hemi Cuda, which I was very happy to get, and EDP 6000, who is driving the Renault Clio V6. Now, for this challenge, yeah, there's a slight nudge through there. I do apologise for that one. You can't quite see it on the replay, but the car was like rubber banding, going forward and backwards, which makes it really hard to judge where anyone was in this first lap. In fact, it's actually a little bit better on the replay than it was in the race. It was terribly hard for this first lap in the race. Anyway, for those of you who haven't seen the video where I explain what happens, basically, when you go to race me, I will ask you if you want me to do the challenge race. Basically, that means I have to go on the auction house and buy the first car on the auction house in A class. Whatever it is, I have to buy it, providing it's under 250,000 credits. The reason is because I don't want to spend like 20 million on one car and then lose all of my money. So this was the car that I acquired, a Plymouth Hemi Cuda A600. Cost me 80,000 credits. A little bit more money than I would have liked, really. Considering you can get these cars normally fairly cheap because they're a reward car. But I was really happy to have a muscle car, and as you can see, it's actually holding its own. Power-wise, it's got 525 horsepower, which is quite a lot, and it's quite a bit more than the Clio. The Clio has 361. The Hemi Cuda will hit 148 miles an hour before you have to brake. Admittedly, you do have to brake a little bit earlier in this car than you would with, say, my NSX, or probably the Clio, to be honest. I suspect, well, it is a faster car in a straight line. It's faster accelerating, I believe. I have to say, though, despite the fact it's not actually as heavy as some muscle cars. I think it's about 3,000 pounds. Despite the fact that it's a muscle car, it actually handles really well. It was really well tuned by whoever the previous owner was. The Clio was actually doing a fairly good job as well, I have to say. This was by far the closest race. As you can see, the first lap was still within just about the same camera shots. The Clio is very good through the corners, as you'd expect. It's small, lightweight, and it's a rear-wheel drive. I assume as well it's got quite a bit of downforce, just thinking about that. It wasn't particularly fast in the straight. Where's the speed? Got 141 was its top speed. However, acceleration, again, you can see there down the home straight, the Hemi Cuda had pulled out a fair sort of margin just on that straight. Because against the corners, the Clio is the better of the two. There's no doubt about that. Again, this comes back into the thing of, do you go for a straight line speed car, which is what I've ended up with, or do you go for a cornering car, which I believe is what the Clio is. Silverstone makes that quite a tricky choice because there are some very, very long straights on this track. However, there are quite a lot of fast corners as well, so it's a very tough guessing game almost of what you're going to pick. If you go for a straight line speed car, you can normally get track position, which is what I have here at the moment. However, the cornering car will probably be faster around the lap. As we go on to the second lap now, and we can see the Hemi Cuda is still just about holding the lead. It wasn't a huge amount faster than the Clio. I mean, by this sort of time, I was beginning to get used to the car. And I have to say, this was a really well-tuned car. I mean, I've driven loads and loads of muscle cars in my time. This is one of the best tuned ones that I've driven. I mean, yes, it is wanting to go sideways. It's got 500 odd horsepower, which is one of the more powerful cars we've had here. However, it's controllable, is probably the word I'm going to use. No, it's not amazing. It's not as good handling as my NSX or the Lotus, and probably not as good handling as that Clio. However, it is certainly quite controllable, and when you do get it on a straight, there is a lot of power, and it will go pretty damn fast, I have to say. I really like this car. I'm really glad that I got a muscle car. Yay. Because, yeah, it's actually a really quite a good car. And then as we go around on the final lap, you can see the Hemi Cuda is still in the lead. I don't know if the camera's going to show the Clio. It's still a very, very close sort of race between these two. I think it's only a couple of seconds in. There wasn't a massive difference in fastest lap either. I think the Clio may have made a slight mistake on this last lap. There we go. You can just about see it in the background. So, there we go. That is it for another Tuner Tuesday. We haven't been defeated this week, and that challenge was quite fun actually, buying a car from the auction house. So that is it for this Tuner Tuesday. I am thinking quite seriously of changing what we're going to be doing with this. I am not 100% sure what we're going to change it to yet. We could either A, go back to you send the car in and we get Stig to do a lap around a certain track. There are problems with that, mainly getting the cars to us can be a bit awkward. And also it takes up a lot of Stig's time to do that because he's doing about 20 laps a car. If we're doing 3 cars a week, that's 60 laps. Which can, depending on the track, can be quite a long time. So yeah, we may go back to that. We may change it so that sort of on a, I guess, Thursday, probably be run on a Thursday evening. We do sort of like an open lobby, or we do like one serious lobby and one sort of more challenge lobby. So serious lobby, we'll build a car for a certain class on a certain track, and then we'll race with our personally built cars against people who are fairly serious racers. And then we'll have a second lobby, sort of a more challenge lobby, where we will buy the first car off the auction house for that class, and then we will race. So we'll basically be racing random cars near enough against people who are slightly less serious racers, because we know that we are relatively fast, and a more casual racer, it can be quite daunting racing against us. So there we go. Leave in the comment section which one of them you would like to see us changes to. It may start next week or it may not, depends sort of when we decide on which one we think will work best. However, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.